Let's move on to the next section here. We've kind of touched a little bit on it, but once the mindset is right, once you've really identified with your ideal future self and you have very compelling reasons to begin this journey, now you have to kind of embrace the suck. Because how will you experience physical fitness physically in the beginning? Like, let's be honest, it's not great.
No.
It feels sacrificial. It feels energy sucking. And for many people, it's just not fun. And humans like to do fun things.
Yeah.
Physically, your body feels weak. You're sore. You're tight. You're fatigued. And oh, by the way, if you don't have a great relationship with food, it stimulates appetite and hunger. So it's like a really complex
loop
that you have got to power through. And we have found the only antidote to that is having the mindset of keeping your eyes on the prize and keep showing up. This is short term. This is short term feedback.
Yeah.
And the excitement and the enjoyment and the pleasure and the benefit that you can see, measure, that other people can see and measure and acknowledge, that comes later. Like, you really need to be anchored in those ideas, because physically in the beginning, it's hard. And I now have a longing and a craving for my training. But this has been this has been many, many years in the process, and it wasn't like that in the beginning. But I'm at the point now where I've got the windfall of benefit, because I was a person who showed up every single day for 5 years. Now it's not work to show up, because that's just, well, I'm a guy who shows up.
Yeah. You just do it.
How did you experience it physically?
My story's a little different, because I was experiencing physical pain, at the time. Yeah. And so my range of motion was limited. What I could do was very limited. I mean, I felt like there was a very short list of things that I could do at the time. So, and even now I have flares. I have days where it hurts, because I've really moved my workouts to more of strength training with progressive overload. So we're doing a lot of compound movements, deadlifting, squatting, things I've never done before in my entire life that terrify me, but we're making it. And that actually make my hip feel better. But in the times when I have flares or it hurts, we just transition back down to a little rehab type workouts and get it better. And then we move on, which is nowhere near how I was working out before. But, yeah, in the beginning, it sucked. I mean, it hurt, and finally got to a point where it was manageable. And, like the first time that I was able to walk on the treadmill without pain, and I actually got to where I could jog on the treadmill, I cried. And not because it was hurting, because I was like amazed that I could even do that, because I was told, don't do any type of weight-bearing exercise on that hip right now. Do the elliptical, do the bike, which are super boring for me. I hate it. And I wasn't getting stronger doing those things. So again, my journey is a little different, but I'm in a really good place with it right now, to where the pain is manageable, and less and less flares throughout the months that go by, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, your experience has been similar to mine in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then I was like, once I set sail, I was fine. You have had a unique variable in your physical journey with your hip, because you're fine for a while, then your hip flares, and then you're fine for a while, then your hip flares, then your hip flares, then your hip flares, then you're fine for a while. And I have watched you from the sideline manage that psychology and wrestle with it at moments, knock right through it in moments, kind of have dialogue with your own psychology with it. But the net result has been you have now an added layer of psychological and emotional toughness that match your physical toughness that you have been implementing.
Thank you.
And that hip of yours has been a unique variable. And there are a lot of people who are listening who have some sort of physical reminder that their body either has some sort of biomechanical deficiency, or you have some pain point. Maybe you have a bad back, you have shoulder, rotator cuff injuries. Maybe you have bad hips. Maybe you have a bad ankle. Maybe you have bad knees, bad neck, like the thing on your body that even though you have the psychology right, and even though you're a person who shows up, and even though you're starting to experience some of the windfall of benefit, you will likely always be tethered to this physical reminder that like you have this thing. And that's another layer that you have to psychologically kind of become equipped.
I've wanted to quit. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I know.
I'm like, this pain is not worth it. Let's just replace this thing and get it over with. But I'm not doing that right now. It's just not something that will serve me right now.
But for a woman who didn't want to start because she couldn't be perfect, I'm going to brag on you for a second, because it was not last night. I think it was the night before. You texted me telling me that you were jogging inside of your condo, your townhome.
I'm not supposed to do that.
In order
to close my Apple rings. Yeah.
And I remember just smiling ear to ear, thinking like, who has this woman become?
Yeah.
That she is that ferocious. That at the end of the day, you're going to do the thing that you hate to do, which is run. In order to be a person who finishes the day strong.
Because I worked damn hard that day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to close them, because that to me is like, okay, I can finish.
It's so good. It's so good.
I'm not still perfectionist or anything.